Yo, JD here, Limitless, and as you can see, we are back on F1 2021 here today, and it's been quite a while since I have done a league racing video. And a bit of a disclaimer, this is not your screen resolution or your internet being awful. The quality in this video is going to be very bad because my stream was having an absolute nightmare. All the settings pretty much reset. Resolution didn't want to work or anything at all. So enjoy this league race in 144p, literally. So it's not a mistake on your end. It has been fixed now, so hopefully it won't happen again. But this is BRS round 15. You can see at the start of this video the current championship standings going into this. I've missed a few races this season, one recently. So we're back now with league racing again, and it's been a long time. So I was really looking forward to racing again to see what I could do. And this track here, it's a track that overlap I've always really struggled with, but in the race it's probably one of my best tracks because of tyre wear, management of the temperatures, and just delivering a good pace around here without getting any invalidation. So I'm trying to get through on the medium tyre in Q2, and
terrible.
As you can hear there,
oh my god,
wasn't going particularly well.
Have absolutely no pace around here in overlap.
But I think I was getting quite distracted by what was going on with my stream. I was really trying to sort it out to get the maximum quality, and honestly I just wasn't really focused at this point in delivering a good lap. So I had a lot of things in my mind, but you can see we are improving on this lap. So we've gone again on the same set of tyres, currently in P12 if you've got a magnifying glass. I'm just remembering what position I was in because I can barely read it off my screen. But we are in P12 at the moment, going 2 tenths up, so this could be enough to get through into Q3 because I really wanted to start the race on mediums here, but we make a bit of a mess of that corner coming through into the last sector. Now we're barely up on our time, now going through to understeering quite a lot, so really not a good lap. And now we've actually gone red into the delta, so we've got to give it absolutely everything going through these 2 final corners, and we missed the apex
oh my fucking god
by a million miles.
Why can't I fucking drive today?
And yeah,
I can't focus when the stream has just been so shit today.
so yeah, as I was saying, wasn't in the best frame of mind, and we're currently P14, and Rusty,
Oh my god,
who is delivering some very good pace. He gets a lot of crap because he uses ABS and racing line, but honestly I think you still have to drive pretty well, and his times are very good. So he actually got the pole position in the end because we didn't do anything in Q3, hence there was no Q3 footage. So we're in P14, starting on the mediums, and we've got a lot of work to do. I think there's only 5 races left in this championship, so I really want to get a good points on the table to beat Kimi, just to make sure it's nice and comfortable going into the final few rounds. But you can see here, it's very important to get some good temperatures, especially starting on the mediums, because they are very poor compared to the softs in the first stint. So I'm really trying to get as much temperature as I can. But as we are going to go through this formation lap, you're probably wondering what's going to happen here. I'm just trying to get as much temperature as I can, and as we go through into here, we've actually been tapped in the back.
oh what a fucking idiot. What is Millsy doing?
And yeah, wasn't particularly happy about that because now we're going to be starting on optimal temperatures, and they're going to be very cold. So we're probably going to get a bad start as we've got 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights now, and you can just see because we haven't been able to warm up our tyres. Myself and Millsy have just had really terrible starts, so both of us have been compromised there. So make sure you leave room on the formation lap because it doesn't help you either if you're the one who's making contact. And now we're back into P15, so losing a position at the start. So this really hasn't gone well so far. I thought I might have had damage.
I don't know if I got damage or not.
but the car actually did feel okay. So as we go through the lap, I do realise that we didn't get damaged. The Ferrari's gone out wide. There's an Alfa Romeo, so go around the outside of him. So that's 2 easy positions that we have managed to pick up. Now we are behind my teammates here. I was thinking about going down the inside, but trying to just open up the corner, try and get in the throttle a bit earlier. My tyres are still going up to temperature as well, so
I don't think there's damage.
yeah, as I said there, I don't think there is any damage. So really crucial that I get as close as possible to the leaders who are on the softs, because the softs are going to be very, very quick at the start of the race here. So going down the inside of my teammate, but then we bang wheels, almost losing the car there. That could have been a lot worse than what it was here. So the Alfa Romeo's got that pass, but my teammate decides to let me go, and we go down the inside of the Alfa Romeo. So quite generous from my teammate. I don't think he actually really needed to do that. I think that was just unfortunate, unfortunate occurrence of the contact model, really, if I'm being honest. So, but still, very sportsmanlike from him. Now we're into P11. You can see Rusty is leading this race, and in the first stint, as I said, the mediums are a very, very slow tyre, but the softs, the fresh softs at the end are very, very powerful. So I've got to try and stay as close to the leaders as I possibly can. You can see Rusty does a 34.9. We come across the line, we do a 36.1. So that shows the difference in the pace between the 2 tyre compounds at this stage. But as we move on to lap 4, up into P10 now, starting to close in on some medium runners up ahead, and we're not actually too far away from the leaders, so we're in quite a good spot at this stage. But as we come through into here, Mers retires from the race, and another car has gone off the track, and a safety car has been released, and you're about to hear a bit more from myself.
I don't know why we still have it on, but I'll take it at this stage. It's good for me.
So honestly, at this stage, this was actually a very, very good thing, because I knew I wanted to continue, because if I pitted now with everyone else, mediums can't get to the end, and then I'll just be back in the same position where I was, where I have to overtake a lot of cars. So I decided to continue, despite having 4 laps on these tyres. I decided to continue because it's not too bad.
Mediums really can't go to the end from there, so that's interesting. Or they'll probably just go pit for softs at the end. Okay.
So yeah, it was fairly evident that Rusty, can see he's pitted for another set of mediums. They'll go for softs again at the end, because the softs are just so powerful for the alternate strategy. However, this track, along with tracks at Mexico and China, having the fresher tyres, and no matter what compound you're on, is very powerful. So Maris has stayed out, I have stayed out, and everyone else, Milty stayed out as well, and Davies, but everyone else has pretty much pitted. So we've got a job on our hands, as Rusty, I think, has already overtaken C. Davies there, so he's already made up progress. And you can see the fresher tyres are just very, very powerful around here, because the wear is actually quite high around this circuit. So I've got to try and keep Rusty behind as long as possible before we pit for the softs. That was the goal, and I knew that was going to be quite a difficult thing to do. But right now, I've got to try and keep with Morris, keep within his DRS zone until 3 laps, when the DRS is activated again after the safety car. And you're about to see, going down this straight, with the extra grip, with the extra traction, Rusty is going to quite easily overtake Millsy, who also stayed out. And he has gone up into P3 now. So he's in a really, really good position at this stage of the race here. So I knew that I needed to get past Morris really as soon as possible, or maybe try and keep Rusty back. But you can see he's following very, very closely, and with those fresh mediums that he's running, he's got very, very good pace at this stage of the race here. So the DRS, I think, has been enabled on this lap, so I made sure I got very, very close to Morris going through the detection points. Going through here, I felt I definitely had more pace than him at this stage of the race, and if I didn't overtake him, then I was probably going to get overtaken by Rusty up behind. So trying to get a really good exit of here. The detection point is towards the bottom of this corner. You can see we're 3/10 behind, so slap bang in the middle of the two cars. He goes a little bit wide, so we've actually closed up a little bit, and we're going to get quite a good exit as well. And you can see Rusty is very, very close behind. He's got the DRS on me. I've got the DRS on Morris, and he's not even going to defend this. So we're just going to clearly overtake him, going down the inside, hitting the inside of this nicely. But then Rusty has also got alongside, and he's probably going to just go overtake him clean round the outside very, very easily. And now he is up into P2 in this race. And right now it's going to be really, really difficult to keep him behind, because as I said, even just having one lap fresher tyres, it does prove to be quite a decent advantage. A good 2 or 3 tenths, I'd say, between like a lap or 2 lap fresher tyres. So with 4 laps, you know, he's definitely going to have a good pace advantage on me at this stage of the race. And plus, he is just very, very quick anyway. So coming through into the detection point of the next lap here, you can see he's following very, very close. We've already managed to gap a little bit to Morris, so I felt my pace was actually very, very good at this stage on these tyres. But really, with that traction, look how close he is. There's really nothing we can do. So we're going to use a lot of our ERS, not because I wanted to stay ahead, but just to make it a little bit more difficult for him. Because if he just sailed past and didn't use anything, he might have been able to even gap me before the start of the next lap. So I really wanted to make sure I was very, very close going through the final sector, just to make sure I get that essential DRS detection point for the start finish straight. So the goal now is to try and do the impossible almost, and try and stay within his DRS zone. And I can't stress enough how difficult this actually is. So really, do it yourself. When you go on USA and you pit a lap later for fresher tyres and compare your lap times, it's quite a big difference, and this is going to be a very, very difficult task. So for the next 2 laps, you can see we've broken away from Morris, and you can see the drop off of the gap, how much we pulled away from him without him having the DRS. He's been dropped by 3 seconds, and I am hanging on for absolutely dear life at this stage, because the pit window for the softs is actually coming up very soon. So if I can just stay within the undercut range, I have a chance of winning this race. So I have 4 lap older mediums than him, but if I had 1 lap older softs, it might be possible to still win this race if I can stick with him. It'd still be very difficult, but it might be possible. But now coming through the end of Sector 1 here, this is the crucial point. It's up to 1 second now, trying to get a good exit coming here, but we are not going to do enough. Now he is finally, it's taken him 3 laps to break out of this DRS zone, and I've been trying to stick with him. I haven't used all of my ERS because I want to try and save some of it for this final stint, and you can see we haven't got the DRS on this lap. So towards the end of lap 15, you can see he's already pulled away by 7 tenths. We're still putting away from the cars behind. Morris has gone for an undercut himself. So now we have gone for the undercut, because we're still within the undercut range, and I know that the softs can do 13 to 14 laps. It won't be easy, but I know that they can do them. So I'm going to try and force Rusty into a little bit of an undercut. But if I was in person, I probably would stay out for another 2 or 3 laps, because that's how much more powerful they are. But you can see Morris with the undercut has set the fastest lap of the race, and he is actually overtaken me. So I think he has 2 lap older tyres than me. And you're about to see, you see the gap is about 1.3 seconds. You're about to see the power of fresh softs and just how quickly we close in. So you can see that it's gone. It's already gone. We've made up 4 tenths in 3 corners. That's how powerful fresher tyres really are. And you can just see it's just absolutely insane. So even a lap to 2 laps with 7% difference or something like that, it makes a huge difference. And you can just see already we've actually closed in that gap. But we have to get past them here, because we cannot afford to really be held that much. I need to get the undercut on Rusty. So he goes very, very defensive. We get quite a way past him, but he does the Verstappen, goes in very deeply. He actually keeps it on track though. But then we have to go round the outside of him, doing that. Really crucial that we get this move done. Going for the inside for this left-hander, and he made that difficult. Definitely was not an easy move, but that has cost me a bit of time, though. That has cost me probably around a half a second or something like that, if he just let me go. But obviously, he's fighting very hard. But if I was in his position personally, with 2 lap older tyres, it's going to be very difficult for him to keep up towards the latter stage of the race. And you could already see, we've already pulled away half a second just for that pure extra grip. But then Rusty has pitted. He's coming out the pits now. Do we go around the outside of him? No, we don't. We brake. Then we get hit in the rear. And then into Rusty. I thought I got damaged. But again, very lucky that we did not get damaged. But Morris did pick up some damage from that. And because I had to stop the car, otherwise I was going to run into the back of him. And yeah, with damage, your race is effectively over. And I wouldn't be surprised if he drops out of the DRS line. And he already has. You can see he's gone. And yeah, he's retired because his race is completely over now. But we have managed to get back within the DRS zone. It would have been good if we could have gone out ahead of him. Because you can see by this minimap, if you can see, there is a whole cluster of cars who have decided not to pit, and they are going for the, well, not the one stop, but they're just going for a completely different strategy. They didn't pit under, or they did pit under the safety car, and they're going to the end on mostly hard tires. So we've actually caught up to those guys now. The first one is going to be Luciano. If I was ahead of Rusty, as I was saying before, then that would have been really good if I could have been the lead car going through the traffic. Because see, he's going to overtake him now going down the straight, and it's absolutely essential that I follow him through this traffic. Because like with the first stint, if I lose the DRS to Rusty and he has these fresher tyres, it's going to be really hard to get back within the DRS zone again. So trying to get a good exit, exceed the softs versus the old hards. Really no competition here. We're going to go around the outside Luciano, and he does that very respectfully. So GG to him. And now we've got to make sure again that we are holding within the DRS zone. It's really, really hard to stay within the DRS zone here, but I'm doing my absolute best. And the setup I was running was very quick in a straight line because I just went for low downforce. But that means it's not actually going to be that good on the tyres. So I'm in a bit of a difficult position right here now. But my goal was to try and get through this traffic while saving as much ERS as I possibly could. Because then if I could stay within this DRS, then we might be able to do something towards the end of this race here. So we've got the detection point here, but we're not going to use any of the ERS because I'm definitely not going to be close enough to overtake MBSFN, who is returned to league racing. So it's good to see him back in it once again. So Rusty is overtaking him, but I knew with these softs, we are going to have so much more grip than the Alpine up ahead. So we're taking a nice wide line here. And on the exit, he actually decides to let me go. So again,
thank you, MBSFN.
Really, really appreciate him doing that. And this doesn't need to do that, but he did know that he was in a pretty different race at this stage compared to my tyres. So we're following through the field with Rusty quite nicely. And again, it's just crucial that we overtake when he overtakes. So now he has gone up behind Dizzy going into turn one. He does not have another couple of cars up ahead of him, which does swing it into my favor. So going through his first sector, it's going to be really difficult to overtake him going through into here, but we've got to be as close as we can going through the detection point. You can just see with the grip of these tires how much we are closing in. And MBSFN on those old hards has already fallen out of the DRS zone. So that really shows tire compounds and freshness really is a big difference. But that is actually our second warning we've got in this race, and Dizzy actually lets me go as well. So really big thank you to him. But now Rusty is right up behind Kimi, who is actually second in the championship. So it is important that I overtake him as well and beat him in this race. And you can see Rusty is going to do quite an easy move down the inside, but he does have another car up ahead of him once again here. So it's really crucial that we overtake Kimi ASAP, because Rusty is probably going to be overtaking him into turn 1. And if he can do that, then he's definitely going to be out of my DRS zone. You can see he's already a second ahead of me. So coming through into here, you can see the understeer, the dirty air is washing my car very, very wide into here. So we've got to be as close as we possibly can. Rusty is very, very close to Noah, but he actually gets a poor last corner. I get a very good exit. Kimmy does have the DRS, and that makes it quite an easy move for me to overtake. He didn't really fight this too hard, but Rusty doesn't actually overtake Noah into his tail 1, which was actually quite surprising, because if I was in his position, I would be making sure I'd get that move done, because then he would be able to pull away over a second, and then I'd be stuck behind it's Noah. So maybe he thought that if he waits for the straight, then I don't overtake Noah through here, and then I'd be held in the last sector. Maybe that was his game plan, potentially. But for me, it's made me get back within the DRS zone, see how much we've actually closed up. And as I said, maybe he thought of overtaking him here, hoping that I wouldn't overtake him on this straight, and then I'd be held in sector 3 whilst he is able to get away. So I really have to get this move done into here, but Noah defends very, very hard. So we have to go around the outside of him, getting the inside for this double right-hander. And now this is the point where I really need to stick with him. The gap is 0.7 of a second. The tyre wear is swinging in his favour all the time here, and we didn't get very good traction with this low downforce setup. We are only fast in a straight line, so he's going to be saving a little bit more percent of tyres per lap as well, because I was pretty sure he was running a much higher downforce than I was doing. You can see he gets some really good traction, and now this is where the difficult point starts. I have to stay within the DRS zone. If he drops out of the DRS zone with his lap of the tyres, it's going to be really, really hard to win this race. So I've got to try and stick with him as much as I could, but I felt like I carried good momentum going into this first sector, and we are just doing absolutely everything. Might not look like I'm trying that hard, but believe me, I am. I'm really, really pushing hard, and you can see my wear is already quite high on these tyres, but we're only quick in a straight line. We have 2 warnings already in this race, so we cannot afford another track invalidation, especially when the hard guys behind are not even that far behind, and their tyres will be actually coming into play a bit more towards the end of this race. But we've done what we needed to do. We stayed within the DRS zone so far, but now moving on to that 24. The goal was just to stick within this detection point. I couldn't really get that much closer than 6 to 7 points, 0.7 of a second. So coming through into here, you can see the understeer is really, really starting to kick in now. But you can see in the straight line, once we get the DRS, we do have some good straight line speed, so we won't need to be that close. Coming through into here, the next lap, I felt like I was making a little bit of progress, so we actually are a little bit closer now. But unfortunately in this game, unlike real life, there isn't a graining phase that you can drive through. It really is scripted on what lap you pick. You can save maybe 1 to 2% max per lap with your driving style, but in terms of driving smooth enough to overcome someone who has fresher tyres, it isn't possible on this game, unfortunately. So you can see again, we've managed to stay within the DRS zone. Now we're on lap 26 of this race, and we're hanging on absolutely for bare life at the moment. And it kind of feels like when you have 2 magnets with the opposite ends trying to go in together, and that's actually my second warning, in fact. So my other one was my first one. So now if we get another one, we will be getting a time penalty. But back with the analogy I was trying to say is that when you have 2 magnets of the opposite end, you try and bring them closer together, but then they just repel, they just get pushed away. That's kind of what it feels like at the moment with Rusty, where he is just very, very fast. And with this tyre advantage, it's just going to be so hard. But you can see, we've actually got quite close under the braking zone and in these corners. So one area where I felt I was definitely better than him was under braking. I felt more confident under the brakes, despite running a lower downforce setup. And maybe that's something to do with the ABS or something like that, I'm not sure. But I definitely felt I wouldn't even need to be fully alongside. I think we could even outbrake him going into one of his corners. So these laps are absolutely crucial now. You can see we got back within the DRS zone again, and you can see our straight line speed is very good. Keeping it in 7th gear because I want to really use a little bit of the engine for the braking. Although it's not as powerful as it was on previous games, you still get it to a degree. So I prefer going in 7th gear through there just to help the engine assist a little bit more with the braking, giving it everything through into these corners just to try and stay within this DRS zone if I can. So almost running out wide. That was so close. Have to keep a little bit of the battery just in case I get very close on this last lap. So under braking again, we're doing good. But you can see with the traction, he gains almost a 10th just through the traction alone. Not using any of it here because I'm going to try and be as close as I possibly can. You can see we're gaining a good 3 or 4 tenths going down the straight under the brakes again. Very good under the brakes here. But now we're going to come into the final lap, almost losing the car. So the tyres are really screaming at this point of the race. But right here now, we have a 3-second gap to the cars behind. So I wanted to not risk it a little bit more in this last lap. However, he did actually have 2 warnings himself. So if I can push him into a mistake, we're going to be more than close enough to pick up the benefit. So coming through into this last corner, we get a fairly decent exit. The gap is about 9 tenths of a second. Using a bit of the ERS now to try and get as close as we possibly can. Braking super late into here. Now we've got to try and be as close as we can going through into this first sector. But my tyres, you can see the indicator has come on already here. And my tyres are just really dying at this point. So coming through into here, we've got to be so close coming through into here, but I just can't get close enough. Coming through into here, almost losing the car, and that one mistake.
Tyres are gone.
That one mistake, and you can see my tyres are on 60-ish% now, I believe. Yeah, and you can see the understeer really kicking in. Yeah.
He had 1 lap fresher tyres. It's just so hard to keep up.
And yeah, this tracks like this, Mexico and China, it's very difficult.
Yeah, he was low. He was low as well, but I think he would have had enough.
And yeah, he was running quite low on the ERS himself, but I think he just had enough traction, enough performance within himself. And you're probably going to see in this last sector that he's going to pull away quite quickly because there's just no way to keep with him. My tyres are just absolutely done at this point here. There's really nothing that I can do. And no, GG to him. It was a really...
Yeah, tyres are gone. Look at this.
Yeah, it was a really intense battle. And despite the issues I was having, I was pretty happy with the recovery did. You can see the gap's almost up to 2 seconds and 1 lap. So that just shows you what it is. So GG to him.
GG.
And...
yeah, great fight. That was a great battle.
Yeah.
They had the fresher tyres. It's just so hard. If you have a lap fresher tyres here, it's like an extra 6 to 7%. And it makes it so hard.
So yeah, getting in the excuses, but I think that is a fact around this track. So I was really happy with how I drove, with the recovery. Good for the championship as well. We go on to Mexico next, I believe, which is one of my best tracks on the game. So I'm really looking forward to that. Thank you so much for the support on the channel as well. I will be releasing coaching this week. So if you are part of my YouTube membership, not only do you get benefits to my setups, first priority invites, but you also will be getting a very nice discount if you are interested in one-to-one coaching with me on all platforms. So I'm very excited to release that. Thank you for support on the channel, and I will catch you very soon. Peace.